Thank you for that. Thank you, DJ Cool Software. That whole thing I was muted for. Great. Um, lovely. Anyway, what I was saying was, hello, welcome to my stream. I'm Josh Goldberg, full-time open source maintainer, yada, yada, yada. Just posted my 2024 planning blog post, and I mentioned towards the bottom of that unnecessarily long post that I'm going to be probably stopping streaming after this month. It's enjoyable. I like it. It gives me a chance to talk to cool people and show off what open source is. But it's pretty draining and takes up a lot of time. And I got a lot of stuff I want to do this year. So I don't think I can really justify the expenditure of time and energy on this. Yeah. Such is life. There are other great streamers or other people who stream who I consider great. So, you know, it's not like I'm the only one. Oh, well. But yeah, for this stream, I want to make some progress on create-typescript-app. I haven't really done much for it in a while. Just closing off all my other stuff. Kind of late start today. So create-typescript-app, for those who haven't played with it before. Hey, Dude Man, how's it go? Is my kind of general purpose getting started shindig for general TypeScript apps. And I'm going to keep working on it throughout this year because I think it's got a lot of potential to keep getting better and better as a general purpose TypeScript template. It's got a lot of stuff that I want to get done. For starters, it's got this cool little like rerun suggestion tip to run again with the same input values used, blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of buggy. So I have to fix a few bugs in there. So yeah, that's what I'm going to get started working on today. Just writing code. The last few streams were a lot of like project management and issues and stuff. And today I'm going to be getting through a bunch of issues that I've got conveniently open in my Chrome tabs. As usual, if anyone wants to chat, ask for clarification, talk about open source, TypeScript, development, life, whatever, let me know. Always happy to talk. Drink water. And please let me know if anything's unclear. I'm going to, as usual, keep posting things on social media. Oop, that's not the right post. Here we go. First up, a bug in the rerun suggestion feature about including an unnecessary CLI default CLI flag. Boop. Curious if anyone here's used create-typescript-app or other like create app things. I used to use create-react-app a lot back in the day. Nowadays, I typically just use like create next app or like the equivalents for Astro or Remix when I set up a new React project. And then, of course, create-typescript-app for all my standalone CLI things. But okay, so rerun suggestion. Right now, if you run npx create-typescript-app, provide base everything, mode create, fill in values that it asks for, and then cancel the command, it'll give you this rerun suggestion. Let's enable word wrap. Note that access public is included in there. So we don't want that. So oh yeah, I should mention, thanks for the call out, Dudeman. Yeah, create React app is no longer maintained actively. In fact, it's pinned to an old version of TypeScript ESLint, which really annoys us. So yeah, don't use that anymore. Which is, I think, a real pity. But like V is a pretty good starter these days. So I'm just looking at the test for create your own suggestion, and yep, it does include access public in, I have to zoom out, this is too much, in the snapshot for just if you apply some basic options, access public. So I'm going to start pm test u. So vtest in watch mode, updating snapshots. Pm run test u. There we go. And if I remove access, set access to undefined, really. So access is marked as required in the options. Okay, so access is marked as required in the options, so it defaults to public before it's passed this command. Ooh, do I suggest vtest over jest? I haven't tried it. Great question. I personally use vtest because it's faster and it handles ESM, ECMAScript modules, better. Jest is still perfectly reasonable and good. It requires a little bit more hand holding. Vtest applies some more abstractions, like does more for you, whereas Jest is a little closer to Node, which is why Jest is blocked on like fully supporting ECMAScript modules on some enhancements in Node, some support. So yeah, I recommend vtest as a good starter, but they're both perfectly fine. Like we use Jest in TypeScript ESLint. Good question. Do you use Jest? I'm guessing because I used Jest for a while. I think some of my projects still probably use it, and it's pretty great. I remember switching from Mocha to Jest back in the day and being very impressed with how easy it was to get started. Cool. So yeah, access public. So we should, what we want to do, I think, for this is remove anything that is the default value for the option. So if I just do a string search on quote public, removing test and markdown files, and then we see read options. All right, so yeah, access defaults to public. All right, yeah, so there's no like single place that says public for everyone. So I'm just gonna make like a const defaults values equals access public. And let's see, options normalized. So we already have a filter here. Filter out entries with, just making the text more succinct, with a key, with an excluded key, or a default or falsy value. There we go. And key in default values. So it's not key in default values or value equals default values key. I think that's what I want to do. TypeScript's mad about it. Let's see. Key in default values. How do I get TypeScript to happy here? So the key, I'm just going to say key as exclusion key. Let's say records exclusion keys unknown. Partial record exclusion key unknown. Come on. Access, what is exclusion key? Oh, that's key of options. There we go. Okay, do I have to partial? Yeah, I do. So partial record key of options to unknown says this is an object where the keys are the keys of options and the value is anything unknown, don't care. Oh, you know what? I can just say partial of options. There we go. And now we're saying if the key is in the default values and key of options, there you go, and the value is the default value, then we can ignore it. Great, great. So now in our test here, we see that the oh boy, I messed up the logic. So we want to filter it out. So it wants to be true if the key isn't in the default values or default values of key is not equal to value. Does that fix the snap? There we go. I didn't want to completely erase the snapshots, just remove access public. So now if we look at the diff here, yep, we removed access public from all of these. Whoops. Which means I now have to add a unit test, I think, for includes non-default value. A non-default value when specified. All right, so options and access should be restricted. There we go, and access restricted does show up. Awesome. So that fixes that. So just to recap, I added a default values object, which is a partial of options, and I said, in addition to previously filtering out falsy values, also filter out values where the key is in default values, and the value is that. Okay. Actually, I can invert this if, I think. So not anything where the key is in default values. And, oh. There we go. So filter out anything where the key has a default value and value is default values of key. In fact, I can actually make this just slightly, I think, more succinct of map of access to public where we do not default and value not equal to default values dot get key. There we go. Cool. So default value is a map from string to string, and then if we get a default value for that particular key, then we complain. Nice. Still no access public here, and still an access restricted there. All right. Cool. Yay. So pm lint nip just to make sure. Get checkout b rerun access public default. In fact, while the lint stuff is running, I'm going to see if there's anything else mentioned in this issue. Yeah, no, it's just this. Great. Git add all, git commit fix omit default value, default access value, and rerun suggestions. Git push uart and rerun access blah blah blah. All right, 1127 is what this fixes. Adds a default values map and uses and filters out key value pairs matched in it. Cool beans. Just looking back through the changes, posting the PR link in the chat. So access, see that it's removed in this one, added as restricted when it's manual, and just removed in all the other ones. Looks like this inline snapshot got updated to template literal string. Good for you, vtest. I do not care. Nicholas, Jan, merge it. Hey. Oh, that reminds me. Thank you again for sending me coffee. I needed a thank you, actually. Yesterday it came and I was tired. It was very late. We were doing Valentine's Day things, like a nice dinner and go to bed early. We've been really tired the last week, so it's very, very appropriate that you sent coffee. But yeah, I need to post that. Thank you. Give a shout out. We streamed together 1 or 2 days ago. Is this how you do a shout out? There we go. Yeah, Jan works on WebStorm at JetBrains and does a lot of cool stuff. Speaks at conferences. Shout out. Posting on social media. Straightforward fix PR with a default values map. Yay! Making people blush on the internet and otherwise embarrassing folks is one of my favorite things. Oh, you're a WebStorm user, Dudaman? Awesome. Come on, testing. I have not to be tackled in today's stream, but just generally some to-dos to make the flows end-to-end testing a little faster. Networking. Look at these CI tasks running. They all passed. Everyone's happy. Cool. And that one's done. Let's git checkout main git pull. All right. Bug. Rerun command suggestion includes unnecessary skip all contributors API and skip GitHub API if offline. Let's tackle this next. Another rerun suggestions issue, this time for omitting a couple of flags implied by offline. What is going on? So create-typescript-app can be run in -- offline mode, meaning disable any API calls, install packages with -- offline, that type of thing. If you run it with -- mode create and -- offline, it will... Ooh, 2 bugs here, and I think... yeah, there's a separate issue. Excuse me, one bug is -- mode undefined. The other is you have both offline true and a couple of flags implied by offline true. Skip all contributors API, skip GitHub API. So I'm going to fix these 2, because if you have offline, you don't need to also specify those. So let's look at the same function we were just looking at. So the create rerun suggestion function normalizes options. And let's TDD this. Right, Jan? Everyone loves TDD, right? So I'm going to say it does not list API skip flags when -- offline is true. I'm not actually sure yet where this fix would need to happen. So this will be good testing. So const actual equals options and then offline true. Add that. npm run test you. I have to say, I don't think TDD is appropriate all the time for every project, but there are times when it's, as a general strategy, pretty handy. Like right now, I'm not sure exactly what the fix needs to be, so I'll add a unit test, fails, and see what happens. Let's see. So if we just have offline true. Mode offline. Mode undefined -- offline. Yeah, I think like with Scrum and all sorts of other things, like people espouse some ideologies to the point of ridiculousness. Mode creates. Let's put mode creates. Learner, how's it going? I can't oh wait, did I think I forgot to pin the issue to the chat. Whoopsies. I can't reproduce this bug. The bug says there should also be like a skip all contributors API here or some such. But I'm not seeing it. Oh, there's a skip GitHub API. Aha. What I am going to do actually is I'm noticing that there's no test for like no options. So let's just put prints only minimal options when most aren't provided. So let's just do mode create. So actually only mode when no other options are. Well, I hope the headache gets better. All right. So we get 2 mode creates. That's nice. And then prints no options when no options are provided. So if we have nothing at all provided, then we get mode undefined. That's nice. So yeah, I'm just going to tackle these bugs with each other because it's one area I don't want to keep doing iterations in the same area consecutively. So where is mode being specified? All right. So we have those on manual mode here. So let's remove that. Okay. Don't love that there's a space. args question mark this, otherwise that. Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna be all fancy. Args dot filter boolean dot join. There we go. All right, so if args exists, it'll pass the filter boolean. Yeah, okay. So do we have a mode? Okay, so now this I think fixes the issue with mode where if mode is provided, it comes up twice. So that's good. Also, I'm just going to post this issue also. Daniel Rowe, wow. Hello, welcome. Thanks for rating. Also, hello, 67 people. Thanks for coming on. I'm Josh. Oh, Alex. I know you. I'm a full-time open source maintainer in the TypeScript ecosystem. Shout out Daniel Rowe. We talk online once in a while, but I think we might be meeting for the first time later this year. That's very exciting. I'm just working on my standard TypeScript template, create-typescript-app. Appreciate y'all joining. I just about to mention that there's a second issue I'm about to fix in one pull request. Curious if y'all have preferences on one PR, one issue, or whatnot. And this one too. But yeah, please let me know if there's anything y'all want to talk about. If any questions, always happy to chat. Open source, life, TypeScript, etc. Right now, my Create TypeScript app, I'm working on a fix for a feature. The feature is whenever you run it and then like cancel or like abort halfway through or let it finish, it'll suggest, hey, if you want to rerun with the same settings, use this command. What wonderful algorithm, product dev book, would love to know. But it's a little buggy, so I'm fixing up the create rerun suggestion function. Straightforward TypeScript, no frameworks or anything. So yeah, just fixed it so that it won't print -- mode undefined. For those who haven't used it, there are a few different modes like create or initialize the template can be run with. And now the actual issue I started working on was if offline is true, then skip all contributors and skip API. Skip GitHub API shouldn't be mentioned. Well, I appreciate that, Daniel. Thank you. I'm just doing TypeScript things. So yeah, I think the issue that I first mentioned isn't happening. So I'm gonna make a tempter and then cd temp rm/star. Yes. So I'm gonna start building. Oh, what was the Vue.ts issue? I'm curious. Node bin index.js. What was this? Mode create offline. Cancel. Aha! So it does still mention them. So what is going on? Why is this still printing them? Just to test out, I could use like a fancy console debug or whatnot, or I could just console log. So I'm going to console log. Other packages augmenting view types and add types for global components. Broke a few things. That sounds like very tricky to deal with, global types and augmentations. What a nightmare. All right. I see what's happening. So the issue is that the options passed to the generate my rerun suggestion actually include offline, skip all contributors API, and skip GitHub API. So I'm going to have to specify them all manually to get the failing test case. ppm run test u. Fox Pelly. Thanks for subscribing. I appreciate it. Log-based debugging for the win. Oop, I meant to. Oops. Oh yeah. So fun fact. I have a little thing set up in my test. That's why they're failing. Saying, hey, if you console log during tests, fail the test. It's called console fail test. An old package of mine. Very happy with it. All right. So let's look at this friend. I added in a unit test that should exercise the case of specifying skip all contributors API skip GitHub API and offline true. And sure enough, yep, we have dash dash offline and both the skips. So that's nice. But I can also, here's a cute little JavaScript tip, options.offline. So the way I'm normalizing options is I'm spreading the base options given, setting everything to just by default whatever we were given, and then I'm applying a bunch of overrides conditionally. If there was options email, then I think I can move this inside. If there was an options email provided, override with no email, and then instead put the email for GitHub and npm. If there was a guide provided, override it with an object, and so on. So if there was offline provided, then we say skip all contributors API undefined and skip GitHub API undefined. And voila, those are now removed, because if offline is true, then those become undefined, which later code filters out. Yay. And actually, skip install. Why is that being set to true? It's from the base options. Okay, cool. So, npm lint. This looks like it's fixed. I'm just going to run lint while I get checkout b. Oh, someone's yelling at me about... Oh, that's why the email was there. Okay, yeah. There was a TypeScript error. I'm not going to deal with that. Checkout b, rerun, offline, no skip. Not a great branch name, but whatever. Fix, don't suggest, skip options in rerun if dash dash offline. Cool. I know I should fix the GPT key to be automatic. I swear I'll do it one of these days. And here we go. Get that browser window open. Yeah, so the whole stream is basically this, just over and over again, me doing TypeScript stuff. So if any of y'all have things you want to talk about, any questions, please let me know. I do open source full time. Like, I don't have a formal job. I don't work for any particular company. So if any of y'all want to talk open source things, happy to. This is what a big part of my life is. Applies a couple of bits of good normalization to printed options. If removes the manual mode so it doesn't get duplicated, and then sets the skip options to undefined if options.offline is enabled. Also adds some unit tests around partial options, as that was missing before. Three great questions in the chat from Alex and then Vox. When did I build a web application from scratch last, and what was it? And then also, why is Knip the best thing since sliced bread? The Knip one is a little quicker and simpler to answer, so I'll do that one first. Knip is awesome. Knip.dev. It finds unused file. You both like Knip? Yay. Files, dependencies, etc. and JS and TS projects. This is much more powerful than what you'd be able to get from like an ESLint plugin, ESLint rule, because it works on your entire project. Like, it can detect that a particular, let's say, function might be exported from a file, but not imported anywhere else, which is very hard to do in an ESLint plugin. ESLint plugins, their rules are made to work on a per file basis, not project wide. So Knip's awesome. The last time I built a web app from scratch, that's a great question. I haven't done anything more than like a somewhat static website or like something with a form in a while. I think the most recent one might be Tide Lift Me Up, which is a UI around like a search, find your packages available for NPM Tide Lift funding, which is a nice little thing. I think that's it. Yeah, so this is just like a very basic Next.js app with a server component form. like it's pretty straightforward. Button type equals submit form. But sorry, I know I should say view or something like that. But alas, I haven't used view in a very long time. Sorry. What about you? Same question to you and anyone else in the chat. What have y'all been building recently? Yeah, I'm really excited about TideLift MeUp. It's helped a few other open source people find some missing funding. Silly that TideLift doesn't do it natively. I should try Vue. I've been meaning to. Next time I have like a new project that's not like time sensitive and I don't need to like maintain long term. The problem with trying any new framework is that there's so many awesome ones, such as Vue and Svelte and Remix and Astro and Next and all this, that I just don't have the time to get good at all of them. So, I wish I did. Working on a blog post to convince people to stop using enums and TypeScript. Love it. This comes up once in a while. Do you know there's a TC39 proposal to add enums to JavaScript? Spearheaded by Ron Buckton from the TypeScript team. Hasn't been super active. It's still, what, stage 1? Stage 0, okay. But I'm hopeful for it. Yes, Fetblog Stefan has a good... is it this? The 5 enums? What's the enum? Articles, enums... Yeah. Tidy TypeScript. Prefer union types over enums. Yeah, it's going to be many years if the TC39 proposal gets through. Is working on blog post for thing and then realize need to rebuild blog. Preach. Been there. Hang on a second. I thought this issue was fixed by the PR I just sent. Oh, dang it. I didn't mark as fixed. Oops. So... Oops, also fixed by that. Stefan is great. I think I have the TypeScript cookbook. Yeah. This book by Stefan. Look at this beautiful bird on the front cover. I like this one more than my book's bird. Fun fact, I wrote a O'Reilly book also. Am I in this? And I'm on the second page of praise quotes. Yeah! And I stand by the praise quotes. Great book. Too many books on my shelf. Out of frame. Okay, let's move on. Bug, is CTA adding more checks than there are workflows for? I want to give a informal shout out also to John Riley. John is a longtime TypeScript community person. Really fun dude. He was also in the TypeScript documentary. Yeah, Vox. Yeah, Pelly, just write a book. All your problems go away because you won't have time for them. It's perfect. What's happening here? Yeah, so here's what's happening in create-typescript-app. Jess, Temporal, welcome. Hello. Oh, Alex, did you write a thesis? I was curious about that process. What are you up to, Jess? How's it going? My God. What was your thesis on? I have to know. Create TypeScript app, it's more than just like a nice static template for TypeScript projects. It's also a tooling thing that will make a new repo with all the stuff that it proposes and can even migrate an existing repo from its own tooling, like the repo's own tooling, to create TypeScript app standardized stuff. Ooh, comparative analysis of SSR in JS frameworks. That's awesome. I'm good. Thank you for asking. So one of the parts of making a new repo or migrating an existing one is setting up the required GitHub workflows. So like if you look at, let's say, any pull requests, let's just look at the first one Chrome suggested for me, which of course is taking forever to load. A bunch of these are required. This one had failing ones and I merged it. Oops. So there's actually a GitHub API that if you go to the settings for branch protection rules, come on. Branches, main. Okay. You can set these, and it's actually a real pain in the butt with setting all these. So there's a GitHub API that you can use to make it more manual, or to do it instead of manually on your own, which is nice. So the bug here is that because create-typescript-app is so configurable, I'd forgotten in one of the places to make the API call to create those GitHub workflows for spec those configurations. So like right now, when we create all these different YAML files on disk, one for a lint knip, one for a lint markdown, and so on, that's all like nice and conditional on options. We were just looking at options. But here, aha, the API call to create, to put a protection rule is not conditional. From Pele, aren't they moving away from branch protection rules to something more generic? Are they? Did you send me this blog post at some point? I forget. One of the problems I have with GitHub is that they have a lot of features that are good, but then just kind of sit there for a while. It's not so much I guess, a problem as like a commentary. Like, I don't know. It's hard to be future planning with this because this has been kind of like a okay experience for a while, and I don't know like if I should plan for some big new thing. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, if you have a link, that'd be wonderful. Until they change this, I'm gonna have to I don't know, just keep this here, and then options dot something. Yeah. So let's. I'm just gonna go through the efforts. So unfortunately, I don't have like any nice like utilities for spreading, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take in the full options instead of just picking the owner repository, like this little TypeScript tip. Have I tried to contribute to a GitHub open source project? That's fun. By GitHub OSS, do you mean like any open source project on GitHub? The answer is yes. I need to think though. Like, what have I contributed to that's fun and not mine? One project that I ended up helping out as a maintainer on is Omnidan's Node emoji project. Great question, by the way. It's like a nice little emoji text wrapping utility. It's like emoji.getUnicorn gets the emoji. It can like unemojify or emojify text, which is really nice. Well, I feel like this is a leading question. There's the GitHub accessibility alt text bot, which is a good one. I don't remember if oh yeah, I like sent a PR to this one. Yeah, some GitHub projects tend to stay stale. They're too big of a company for the number of employees they have to be able to really, I think, put a lot of care to a lot of projects. Which is not an insult or a negative thing. It's just that's the nature of a big company, right? Yeah. Life is hard. So I think, anyway, going back to this, looks like build is always required. I'm remembering now. But options.compliance. Oh, it's excluding. So I'm going to actually switch these to, if you exclude it, don't spread an array of anything, just spread an empty array. Otherwise, spread with what you want. Lint is required, so let's just move that there. Exclude knip. Here we go. Exclude lint markdown. Lint packages. Lint spelling. Prettier is required. And test is required. I want to say that this actually misses some packages or some status checks. Let me just make sure. So we have lint markdown. Oh, going from the left to the right, because the left is what's the actual list of files been created. So lint is unconditionally created. Lint knip here. Lint markdown here. Lint packages here. Lint spelling here. Post release. Okay. Oh, so we can exclude tests. Whoops. Exclude tests. tests. Okay. Haha. Okay, one more question, Josh Goldberg. What is a TypeScript? By the way, I really appreciate you asking questions. Thank you. This makes it much more fun to stream. What is a TypeScript feature or fix you really want to see landing? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So this one's on me. I have an open pull request to TypeScript that I just haven't had time to get to for a few months now. But in TypeScript, if you try to use JSX syntax in a TS, not TSX file, the error it gives you is just very vague and confusing. Like export function my button return button. It's just a confusing error. So this is tsconfig JSX none. The error is like cannot find name button greater than sign expected unterminated regular expression. Literally, it's trying to parse this less than button slash weird. So what I'm trying to add is like a more predictive parser to TypeScript so that if it sees that what you're doing is this type of unterminated regular expression and it looks like JSX, we give you a nice specialized error. It's actually kind of hard to do that. Who would have thought? Also, GitHub changelog. Oh, I think I saw this. They don't support dark mode in their blogs. Okay. Public beta history, import, export. Oh. Rule sets. Apparently, I didn't see this. I was thinking of something else. This is great. Interesting. All right. Help you control how people can interact with branches and tags. So, create a rule set, manage a rule set. So you have rule sets. All right, so how do you create a rule set? Got it. So this is like a nicer thing. Okay. This is cool. Restrict, create, update, delete, linear history, sign. Great. Yeah, that's nice. So this is like a replacement for branch protections. And is there API support? API. All right. Well, once this gets to API support, GitHub API rules sets. Oh. Rule sets. Cool. Well, it's in beta, so I'm going to file an issue. Thank you. So, feature. Investigate GitHub's new rule sets. Feature instead of branch protections. Co-authored by Vox Pellet. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for mentioning that. This is great. Alex, I want to ask you the same question. Anyone else in the chat? What's your like TypeScript feature or fix wish list? Looks like there's API support. Is this something that we should replace the existing branch protection features with? Everything from TS Reset. Do you want to give a link explanation in the chat? What is TS Reset? It's an awesome project. Oh, this is not investigate. This is not accepting PRs. This is investigation. I'll look into it. Yeah, total TypeScript. Thank you for saving me a Google search. Yeah, it's like a change to the default TypeScript typings that smooths out a bunch of things. Really nice, really nice. A lot of little icks around the global types. Cool. So let me post this on social. Boop, 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 boop. Are you on, There we go. Boop. Types. Ooh, TypeScript number ranges. Yeah, like the same way they have template literal strings. So more specific than number, less specific than... Sorry, more specific than string, less specific than like a single string. You want number ranges, like greater than 1, less than 10 type thing. That would be nice. Thank you. Godspeed indeed. Types being kept via object. Oh yeah, object.values, object entries. But yeah, that's hard. It's like, yeah, there are like a lot of random things that are just kind of hard to do in the type system right now. Like yeah, HTTP status codes. That's a good one. I'm also noticing, by the way, I have lint package JSON. Do I not? Package.json. Oh, right. I used to have a lint package JSON task, but then I moved that into ESLint, so it's part of the regular lints. Never mind. Great. So this looks good. Back to the task at hand. Yeah, so I've got conditional checks up in my initialized branch protection settings. I know just from experience the fact that I modified the args, or the parameters for this function rather. ppm run test u. I'm going to need to fix some TypeScript things. So let's look at the tests for it. So we're missing a few properties from options. Those and 2 more. So I'm just going to add them in as blanks. Still going to be missing a couple. Yep. Mode creates. I know it's mandatory to be one of those. And title blank string. Got my linting to put them in alphabetical order. Satisfies options. So email needs to be GitHub is something and npm is something. Thank you, TypeScript, for letting me know which things I need to fill out. Cool. All right. So stub values means these things are the basic values provided to branch protection settings. So I'm going to need to add in or want to add in a unit test to exercise this behavior. So I'm just going to add in one that enables all these excludes. So let's say it doesn't create workflows for excluded options when specified. Const actual equals await, initialize branch protection settings, create mock octokit, because that looks like that's what this thing does. Mock request, I'll have to fill that out later, and then what am I called? Stub values, not a great name. Then all of these to true. Then mock request is status 200, doesn't matter. Okay. Expect actual to match inline snapshot. Undefined. Isn't that lovely? What is wrong? Something's wrong. Oh, wait. It's that the mock request gets called mock.calls to match inline snapshot. There we go. Yeah, so what's happening here in the test is the way this function works is it calls to octokit.request, which I'm mocking out as this mock from vtest. And the test never actually asserted on what the what the thing called, like what values were passed in. By the way, I do want to raise in the chat, yeah, this TypeScript issue for numeric ranged types. A lot of scenario discussions. Wow, what a deep issue. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Cool. Oh, hang on. There's Vox. Yeah, and you mentioned this. Cool. Give me a little thumbs up there. Yeah. Cool. All right, but yeah. Bye, Jan. Tell the baby and the rest of your family I said hi. Hi, Jen. Okay. So yeah, this is the first unit test that actually tested required conversation resolution for initialized branch protection. So I'm going to say that I should make another snapshot for the normal case just to make sure it does add the things we expect. So now we're happy. Yay. Git checkout B, conditional branch protection settings, git add all. Let me lint to fix gate branch protection settings on options exclusions. All right, so now when we create or migrate or initialize a new repository, branch protection settings will be based on options, the way that files, the YAML files are. Cool stuff. This way, when creating, initializing, migrating a repository, branch protection settings won't be created for excluded options CI flows. Cool. Looks good so far. Files changed. Got the options. Oh yeah, I wanted to rename stub values. It's not a great name. Let's just call this stub options. Eventually I'll make like a standard name. I know other tests call them options or options base or something like that. All right. So we got the added snapshot for the first test, which does include lint knip and markdown and such. And then we have the snapshot for the exclusions. Nice. This makes me happy. And now we wait. What's everyone up to today and this weekend? It's Thursday, which is almost Friday, which is almost the weekend. You have a wedding this weekend down in Florida? That's awesome. Where in Florida? Miami? Orlando? Elsewhere? I've been to Florida maybe 2 or 3 times in my life. Once or twice when I was a kid. Just like to visit a grandparents. And then once or twice as an adult. The most recent time was awesome. It was for React Miami, the conference, which is, by the way, happening again this year. Give them a little link in the chat in April. Boca Raton. It's a great place from what I hear. Yeah, Florida's fun. Miami's fun. Boca Raton I can't vouch for or against because I don't remember it at all. I remember seeing a lizard or like a bunch of like little friendly lizards. They're skittish, but they're cute in Florida. And that's basically the highlight of what I remember from being there as a kid. To, visit cherished family members and make memories. That's basically all I got out of it long term. Come on, end-to-end tests. You got this. Come on. PMPM dedupe takes freaking forever sometimes. All right, everything passed. Yay. Anyway, it's been almost an hour, so I'm going to say I'm going to keep going, but just a regular reminder, if any of y'all have things you want to ask, talk about, etc., please let me know. I'm always happy to chat. I should also note that I'm probably going to stop streaming after this month because as much fun as it is and as much as I like having people chat with me on the internet, I've got a lot of stuff going on this year. So what's after streaming? Like in general? Yeah, blogging, writing, open sourcing. I want to work more on my blogs. Yeah, sorry, Alex. I don't know about fully stopping, maybe putting on hold for a bunch of months. I recognize that there is some use to the world or people from me doing this. Like I get to answer questions from, for example, Smotty. Welcome, first time chat. I will answer. Thank you for asking. But yeah, I want to focus more on like the core open source work. I've joined a few projects as a committer or maintainer. I got a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, I don't know if I'll return back to it, keep doing it again, but for now, putting a pause. Hey, so I have almost no experience on working in open source projects, and most of my experience is working with React, Node, TypeScript, JavaScript for about 4 years or so. Cool, awesome. A couple of questions. One, what open source repo would you suggest for a beginner like me? And two, do I gain money from this or just as a hobby? Great questions. I will, for I think the second time this stream, answer a second question first. And I'll also say there are a few other people in the chat who are big in open source. And if they have suggestions, definitely would be interested in what they have to say. I don't want to call anyone out by name, such as Alex, but if in case they don't have the time and energy to answer. But it's a good question. So yeah, do I gain money from this? Great question. I do. It took a little while to get to. But wrong blog post. If you look at my blog, I actually have a breakdown of my finances. So going down to living wage in open source, I earn what is a legally defined living wage or livable wage in New York City in open source, about 63K, 63 to 64K a year. It's hard to compute this because it fluctuates over time. I'm factoring in things that came in towards the end of the year. I also have a spouse who has like a real salary. This is United States salary. I recognize it's like higher than some areas, lower than others. This is also a fun fact in contrast to my 2022 recap, where I did a small breakdown and without the fancy charts, unfortunately, and found that my wage came out to about 20K, which was minimum wage for New York City. Also an accomplishment. I spent around 6 or 7 years in industry, earning like a real software developer salary. For what's worth, I actually currently live in Philly. I used to live in New York City, and we're moving to Boston in the fall. So it's a weird comparison to try to make. But yeah, so I have savings. I'm not losing money. It's tough to make these calls because I think open source becomes a passion project for a lot of people. Like you do it on the side if you want. But even asking people to do it on the side is tough because like we work whatever 8 hours a day as software devs, and then you want us to do that more. Like a lot of people very reasonably just don't want to put forth, don't have the energy to put forth. And then also a lot of people, I think the term is dark matter developers is the term. Yeah, good blog post from Scott Hansman. Most developers don't give a crap about this stuff. It's just a job for them. For them, and this is totally reasonable, by the way, it's just a job like any other. You're in HR, you're in management, you're a developer, it doesn't matter, whatever, it's a job. So it's like actually a really small percentage of people who go on Twitter and the internet and talk about coding in the spare time and all this, or even do it for work. So for me, open source started as a hobby and then slowly grew to consume more and more of my more and more of my professional life. If you want to get into it, that's great. You don't have to. It's totally reasonable not to, especially if you have a job already. But what open source repo would I suggest for a beginner like you? Oh yeah, actually, Vox Pelli brings up a good point. Some companies will let you spend a certain amount of time. Google was famous, I think, for 20% long ago. But yeah, some companies don't. But if you have a company that lets you spend time in open source, that's a really good sign. That's a green flag, as I say, a positive thing for the company. There are a few like general services for finding repos that have good first issues. Some are better than others. This is kind of like a broad approach. I can tell you that I personally have projects that I think all generally have some good first issues. I try to keep good first issues filed in all of them. So if you want, I'm always happy to help people out. I make sure that I have like good contributing guides. For specifically the stuff you mentioned, React, Node, TypeScript, JavaScript, I think probably like I like meta frameworks around them, or like integrations. So like if there are any hooks in particular or like component libraries you use, those are probably good. And then, yeah, what Alex is saying, in general, find something that you use. I don't recommend the giant projects like React because those tend to have a lot of people swarming them. But like React Use is a really good set of hooks that this Bored Ape avatar. I don't know how well it's maintained. I think it's not super under maintenance right now, but in general, things like if you use them and they have like if you look on the issue tracker and they have like labels being used and pull requests that aren't piling up. Jesus Christ, 251 open PRs. This is not a good example repo, but like that's a good React component library that people use, like a relatively smaller one. Anyone? Emoji picker. Oh, React credit cards. Is this one good? 2 years ago. 2 years ago. 5 years ago. Jeez. React. My God, why is it so hard to find a repo that's updated? I'm looking at the last commit date for these right here. 9 months ago. 2 years ago. Okay, 5 months ago. Here we go. This one might be good. MobX State Tree. Yes. Love it. Love MobX State Tree. I'm a big MobX fan. Got that star 19 hours ago, last update. That's good. Yeah, would recommend. Oh, look at this. This is great. Look at this. Look at all these labels. Labels are good. The fact that labels are here is not just a nice rainbow color on the page, but it also indicates that the backlog for the repository is well organized. And it means that the maintainers have the time and energy to put into making it easy to comb through. And they're even using things like level easy, helper pull request welcome, which are really useful. DJ, I didn't know you were an MST maintainer. I forget if you mentioned that. That's awesome. Yay. Yeah, and Fox brings up a good point. If you contribute to things you use, not only does it mean you're already familiar with them, but it helps you, like if they're features you want. Sometimes from Captain, hey Kirk, sometimes I'd be interested to hear you chat about the following question. Do you have advice connections on finding full-time employment software work? Curious if things come your way as a result of being in the open source world. Not as much as I think it should. That's hard. That's a hard question because this industry right now is being all poopy about employment. I'd say that it's really nice to have open source on your resume. That's one of the things you can do to really stand out. Right now, what's happening is the industry is generally swamped. There's a lot more supply of software developers than there are companies willing to hire them in some ways. Like I know a lot of people who are laid off and looking for work, and it's been hard for them. So you have to compete with a lot of other people, basically. So anything on your resume that makes you stand out versus the majority of the crowd is really nice. So like open source is great, especially if you have your name on a big project. Like for me, the fact that my name's on like TypeScript ESLint and ESLint and Mocha is beautiful. It's actually a really good long-term investment because I'm going to, if I ever go back into full-time employment, get a much nicer salary probably as a result. It's also just generally good experience gathering. Like learning how the tools you use work makes you a better employee of the company that uses those tools. And there are a lot of transferable skills, like maintaining a backlog for an open source project, such as a really nicely done one here. Nice job, DJ. There are a lot of communication skills, like filing clear issues, providing good feedback and pull requests that are transferable to and from open source and full-time employment. Oh, and Alex brings up, Alex, you keep mentioning things that I realize I should have. Thank you. This is great. Yeah, you don't have to contribute code to get involved with open source. Docs are a good one. Accessibility fixes for websites are always key and good. Yeah. So do you think, so Captain Kirk, for reference, has been sending pull requests over to, there we go, over to TypeScript-app. Sorry, I've been meaning to review these again. Yeah, I would say the fact that you're sending pull requests to a major open source project is a nice thing. The fact that they're getting merged is very key, because some people send crap pull requests and then put it on their resume, and that's a recipe for disaster. As soon as someone looks at the pull request, they'll see you're spamming. So for you, Kirk, you're doing a good thing. You're actually sending really good PRs. And this means that if you have it on your resume, A, that's a standout for the resume. And B, if and when someone technical asks, you can start talking about how you use type checking to analyze the AST and you worked with maintainers. And now every company, probably including the one you're applying to, uses the code you wrote. That's really cool. What is it? Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people use the code we open source people publish. It's awesome. Smatty, am I pronouncing that right? Smatty. Thanks for the response. I was just curious how open source devs get paid. Right now I'm getting sucked into large hard work and I like it, but I want to have other options to the side. Building new business or project is not that simple. Yeah, I'll refer back to my blog post for the breakdown. It's different for every open source person. I'll say mine, and then I'll mention a few others. I have side ends open source. Open source, it's largely TypeScript-app or a funded team by the community, not from any particular company. Microsoft doesn't pay us, but the Open Collective gets distributed based on activity levels. I have a personal GitHub sponsors, around $4.50 a month. ESLint, I joined the maintenance team in the last year, this year, so I started getting from them. And then TideLift is a nice one too for my personal packages. These are all either like a project has its own funding or like aggregators like TideLift that distribute out. For my side projects, writing a book, learning TypeScript, buy it today. That directly helps me. I did some consulting and I mostly cut that out. Switched over to doing podcasts, a little more visible. And then I get on average $17 a month from Twitch. So that's really not that big. Consulting actually is a really good income opportunity, by the way, for open source folks. If you work on a tool, like let's say you gain expertise in like a lot of React libraries, you might then get connected to a company that uses those libraries to help them use those libraries better. That's directly how I've made money for consulting. The problem with consulting is that it's private typically. It's very rare that you get to have like actionable takeaways or like improvements for the world. What I did last year, like I consulted with a company then called Centered, now called Suka, where I did a bunch of perf work for them because I was giving talks, writing blog posts, and so on. And then I was able to take that because they're a very lovely group of people and talk about like the work we did. And actually, fun fact, some of the work we did was beneficial for the world. We found a performance issue from a very commonly used emoji library. I worked with Marvin, the speeding up the JavaScript ecosystem guy, and we fixed the issue for everyone, which was awesome. I have a podcasty voice for sure. Thank you. Fun fact, I think a lot of people actually have podcasty voice. It's just once you get a good microphone, it really makes it better. This microphone makes me sound so much better than like my built-in MacBook crap one does. But yeah, I switched from consulting to podcasts because I just don't want to work on company specific stuff. And also it's on average more like broad reaching and like industry recognition and impact building. Even podcast, it's like, to me, not as beneficial as my open source work, but after a certain point, it's not as beneficial. I think by nature of what I do, like maintaining libraries like TypeScript-app, it's really important for me to speak to the community and listen to them, tell them about all the new stuff, the best practices we figured out, and hear from them how they use our tools. Being part of Fox taking notes, being part of a major open source team however you define major, at least visible, means you're basically DevRel. Like, we don't have a DevRel team. We don't have marketing. So if we want to tell people, hey, we have this awesome new feature, these new recommended configs in TypeScript ESLint, who else is going to do it? Alex, you have around $382 a month, give or take, in just GitHub sponsors. Nice. YouTube starts to throw off a tiny bit. Twitch maybe in the future, but the big chunk is consultancy and workshops. Really worth it. Yeah. Workshops are great. I do workshops around linting and TypeScript, mostly TypeScript, and that's been really useful. Yeah. 40 to 50 a month. Awesome. Honestly, anything more than zero. Like, once you get that first GitHub sponsor, wild. That's like mind blowing that someone would pay me money to just do what I do. Ooh, weird. I like it. But yeah, I think the Nuxt team has a really interesting model. They, what is it mentioned on the site? They have, what's the Nuxt consultancy? Oh, there we go. Support agencies. Yeah, so like you can book professional services. They're like agencies that build on them. Oh my God, what is Anthony Fu's company? Nuxt Labs, that's what it's called. There we go. Yeah, so like this is a thing. Yeah, thanks, Alex. Nuxt Labs. Style Shit, hey, welcome. The nice thing about Nuxt Labs is that when you have like a really major use framework like Nuxt and a company that like gives enterprise grade solutions on it, you get a lot of money from enterprises, and you can use that to both the money and the experience to directly improve the framework. Unfortunately, this only works for things people are willing to pay for, and linting is not really generally on that list, so we wouldn't be able to do something like this for TypeScript ESLint. I'll see you around, DJ. Thanks for hanging around. Good questions. Good comments. Also, by the way, I freaking love the visualizations on everything Anthony Fu touches. Look at it. And then also, look at this freaking personal site. Look at this. If we just wait, I wish there was like a speed up button, but if on antfu.com, if you... So actually, Alex, I'm curious about that. Like, what is your role there? Like, because you have your own personal business. Has that been particularly fun? Now, if you wait on Anthony Fu's website and you look at the back, can't see it. It like slowly adds in more and more. I think it's more visible in light mode. Beautiful. Beautiful. Lichter.io. Ooh. Look at this smiling face. Oh, I love the every time I go here, I remember this. I like the color theme. Beautiful, beautiful site. Honestly, beautiful site. Good stuff. Yeah. Ooh. Mohammed. That's where your name comes. Your username comes from. Alsmati. Ooh, I like the blue. Marquee. Ooh, you did a Udemy course. Awesome. I never got around to trying out building one of these, but I hear it's quite high potential. Ooh. Cool. Yeah, having the links to everything is really nice. I have view count. Awesome. Just for posterity, here's my site. Yay. Well, that was a fun tangent. Anyway, I went too far. I also wanted to work on some more issues here. I think I can get through 3 more in the next 15-30 minutes. So okay. I liked this. Thanks for chatting, folks. Bug feature request and tooling issue templates use bug report checklist. Let's talk about this. Had a fun tangent on chat about open source funding and life. But now back to the issues. This one from I don't think Dan's on Blue Sky yet. This one on my copy and pasting template issue templates. Oh yeah. So another GitHub feature thing is that Ooh, let me make sure I don't spam you. Pele, Dan V. Vanderkam. Surely he's... Okay, guess he's only on Twitter. So yeah, you can have little templates for issues. So to force people to provide the information you need in the format that you can read from. Which is really nice. Apparently, I think it's still been in beta for a while. But I did a copy pasta. This is another thing repos can do. That's nice. Ooh, get checkout main, get pull. Did I merge that last PR? Yeah. All right. So feature. Oh, back to the tangent. You spend more probably on hosting costs for your web mention endpoint than you get from open source in total. That's so funny. Gotta monetize that. But you also have a real income, right? So I hope you're not starving on the street. From Smotty, someone like you're willingly working open source, is looking at portfolio. I could easily work in big fan companies like six figures. Yeah, I could easily with the normal quotes around it. I did. My first full-time job was at Microsoft after 3 years, and then went to Codecademy. Not Fang, but I wanted a smaller vibe. There are pros and cons. Like, I honestly recommend people, if you want to go in open source, it is, unless you already have a footprint, a really good and probably the most common way to be able to build towards that, having that footprint, that experience, is a role at a company. Whether it's a startup or a Fortune 500, working with other people on a sustained project is a very valuable set of work experiences. And it's a hard set of experiences to get anywhere else. Working on a team, managing stakeholders, using words like financial decision maker, Scrum, Agile. And then like having mentors and being mentored. That's hard to do on your own. I honestly miss that. I really miss having dedicated work friends and people I, gossip with and mentors and all that. Corbob, welcome. First time chat. Fang, don't you mean Mana? What is that? Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet. What's Apple for the last A or one of them? What's N? Oh, I'm glad you have a mentor now, Alex. Netlify, that's what it was. Netflix? That actually makes sense too. Yeah, I think Netflix is pretty big. Yeah. Fang was such a good acronym, though. Although I am upset, of course, that none of you mentioning Microsoft in that list. It's all right. We're used to it, us Microsofties and ex-Microsofties. Yeah. So anyway, the bug report checklist. So this is just a quick little one from Dan Vanderkam, author of Effective TypeScript. Great book. So in the bug reports checklist, I ask people to restart their IDE to make sure the issue persists, make sure you pull the latest main branch, and make sure you've searched for related issues. That's a reasonable checklist. I also do that in the feature requests, which is kind of silly because restarting IDE and issue persist isn't generally a thing you need to check for in filing a feature. Oh my god, Valve. Are we including gaming companies now? Honestly, there should be a standard name acronym like that for gaming companies, like Blizzard. I guess they keep getting bought out, so who knows. So yeah, this is just a quick little fix. The feature template doesn't really need to include this label. Did I post? I don't think I posted this in the chat. Yeah, the FANG analogy, or acronym rather, is like pretty American centric. Like there are huge companies like, as you say, Alex, Alibaba, Tencent, out there in the wild, in the rest of the world, that don't get captured in that, which is a little silly. All right. Boop, boop, boop. All right, so yeah, I'm just gonna git checkout b feature template no restart. Let me just pm tsc pm run test run -u pm lints. Just set them up on the side. Was this fix Don't ask to restart IDE in feature template. Looks good. Feels good. It's a quick little one. I updated the template in the repo and then the encodified. I said template. I guess the word's ambiguous. I updated the file in the repo, then also the encodified issue template creators. Updates the file and template for it. Boom. Oh, no, Smotty, you're not spamming at all. I didn't realize I missed that question. Sorry. Why I haven't gone back. I want to have impact in open source. When you work for a company, there are all those great upsides I mentioned, but also there are some downsides. You have to deal with politics. A lot of your work goes towards the company. And even if they give you the 20% time, that's still only 20%. The remaining 80%, or whatever your fraction, your percentage ends up being, is for the company. And the things that I want to work on, that I really want to benefit the world with, blah, 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 are open source. I want to improve TypeScript ESLint, make the docs great. These are goals that, we've been working on or may have already been achieved. I want to make typed linting well understood because it's freaking awesome, and then make it easier to set up so that other linters like the Dino and Biome and others, OXC, can use it. Open source, for me, you end up making very small, marginal, incremental improvements that impact very many people, rather than being able to have a high impact on just the folks around you. So it's different base multiplier. Something like that. Styleship brings up a great point. OSS does have politics. Any group of people larger than 0 has politics. I have politics with myself. And then, we have maintainers. One maintainer wants to have backwards compatibility in this way. The other maintainer wants to drop back compat in that way. And then they don't communicate well, or one person yells at the other. And then you have flame wars on Twitter, and or one project has a feature that breaks another project. Yeah. But, always politics. But the end result of the politics is, a better world for everyone, I hope. Or at the very worst, maintainer burnout, projects get flamed. So part of what I enjoy doing is trying to make the open source politics space a little better so that people around me are happier and more productive. Yeah. Yeah, people like DHH, who lead large projects and are assholes about it, we want fewer of those as time goes on. And that requires counterpoints, people in open source being nice and doing the right steps to create a productive, psychologically safe environment for everyone. Ooh, another question that could be interesting. How do you solve money distribution in open source software? Oh, I love this. Let's say Org ABC has a monthly budget of 10K from sponsors, etc. How do you distribute it amongst the contributors? Two great questions that I jump to in that one great question. First, there's the question of how do you encourage companies to spend open source contribution time and money, to give time and money to open source. The other question is, once that money is being received, how do you distribute it? For distributing it, there are kind of two models I've seen a lot of on a per project basis. One is a monthly stipend once you meet minimums. The other is an invoicing system. We use invoicing, Fox and me, and on third maintainer Aras on Mocha, or at least we will. We don't have it set up. ESLint uses invoicing, whereas TypeScript ESLint uses a monthly stipend, which you can actually read about on our docs. I know ESLint has docs too. I forget what they are. Maintenance, contributor tiers. So I think those are valid systems. I think within a project, as long as it generally compensates you for the work you're doing, that's important. Also, I think it's good for people who aren't full-time open source maintainers, or rather for people who aren't relying on the money. If it's possible for them to opt out, that's a nice thing for them to do, but I don't think it should be required. I think people should be compensated for the work they do. For cross ecosystem concerns, I really like the models of companies like TideLift and StackAid and ThanksDev. We mentioned TideLift, so I'm going to link to all these. TideLift.com. TideLift.com. let's see, they have 4 maintainers. Anyway, they're kind of enterprise oriented, but they distribute money from a company to its dependencies. I think they were the first currently still existing one. Now like Stackade and Thanks.dev have popped up. It's a problem. It's a hard algorithm to get right because how do you do nested dependencies? Like people will always say, oh, I'll donate to my test runner, donate to my linter, but to the like random dependency 3 levels down maintained by that one guy in Kansas per the XKCD comic. One maintainer. Yeah, dependency, this classic one. Yeah, so Stackade, Thanks.dev, consumer version, Tidelift, that makes sense. And yeah, Pele makes a good point. Sometimes people can't be paid due to taxes, geographic location. I hope that as time goes on, companies like Stackade, Thanks.dev will be able to manage that more. I don't know. As to how to encourage companies to sponsor open source, that's hard. I started and then quickly realized I didn't have time for an initiative called Open Contributions. We did almost no work on this, so initiative is too grandiose of a term, really. But the idea that I have is long term. I want to make like kind of a health grade. You know, restaurants have like a ABC, and I want to quantify how companies give to open source based on the scale of company and the kinds of contributions. I think that if you look at 2 kinds of contributions, time and money, and then targets for those contributions, community projects, the company's own open source, you should do well in at least 3, ideally 4 of those quadrants. Like a company should be contributing to open source, both monetarily and in terms of publishing their own software. Why are you writing your own everything in your stack? You have your own needs that other companies probably also have. You should be publishing open source software. Which then brings up the question of, how do you judge a company? Like, how would you judge a Facebook versus a like garage startup? So I think making it as a fraction of something like total compensation for developers, something like that, would be really interesting. A union is something I would be very interested in exploring. That would be really interesting. So, yeah. Anyway, it's a really interesting area. More on that in the future, I hope. But cool. Got this issue down. 2 more to go. We can do this. Let's see. I'm going to do this one first. Another one from Dan. ESLint does not report problems in task JSON and VS Code. Oh, and Jerry the cat is stepping on my keyboard. Hang on. Fucking guy. There we go. There we go. Now he's captured. Toodaloo. Ooh, good on you, style shit. Good luck with that. I hope they allow it. Little Jerry, he's a terror. So Dan created a repo using everything. Awesome. And then notice that tasks in VS Code wasn't getting issues reported. So let's try this out. So right now in JSON files, let's say, let me go back to main, get pull, source.json files. Do I have any JSON files? Now let's just make an example.json, value, true, apple, 1. So if I get, I feel like, so lint should lint this file. Aha! But VS Code doesn't know about it. Huh. Why isn't VS Code knowing this? So I have this JSON C plugin for ESLint that lints JSON files. So in my VS Code settings, ESLint.probe, JSON and JSON C are there, so it should be linting for that. Why isn't it? Why isn't it giving me the complaints? I get the complaints in other files. Like if I do Apple 1, like I get the linting in other files. So I know ESLint works. Let's look at. Does anyone ever face this? Oh, by the way, Style Shit, I'm glad you posted. What a cool company, by the way. Front-end drag and drop page builder. This is the type of thing, by the way, that I'm like really excited about long term, that people keep making more and more higher and higher level abstractions to make it easier to build web pages. Really cool. Yeah, almost no one lints JSON with ESLints. The cutting edge I am here. It's code ESLints. Language identifiers, which the ESLints. You only use scientific styling? You don't detect floating promises? You don't? Okay. All right. Phew. You got me. You got me for a second there. Needling. All right. So VS Code language IDs, language identifiers, JSON. Yep. JSON C. ESLint plugin, JSON. Oh, and ESLint plugin, JSON C. See if anyone's mentioned VS Code in any of these plugins. How do you get this to work? That's settings JSON. Nope. Let's go to user guide, editor integrations. JSON 5. Here we go. JSON 5. That might be what it is. Sort lines alphabetically. Sure, why not? Restart ESLint server. No, this is the JSON language mode. So it's currently JSON. I don't even know what JSON lines is. It should be enabled for JSON 5 anyway, but... ESLint.validate. Why isn't this working? That's so weird. I'm going to reload window. Is this a... it might be a bug in the... or quirk of the VS Code ESLint extension. What is happening? npx ESLint source bin example.json. Yeah, still works. All right. Let's go to VS Code ESLint on GitHub. What's the difference? Oh my God. Yes. Thank you. ESLint Pro versus ESLint Validate. What is the difference? We have languages. That's a great. Thank you. I didn't even notice. Oh my God. Thank you. Ugh. What? Probe? If validation fails for probe language, the extension stays silent. I'm going to open these side by side. Oops. Probe and validate. Dot validate. An array. Oh, they're right on top of each other. Never mind. I'll just keep them next to each other. Or on top. Bruh. The files for which validation to be enforced. Old legacy settings should be, in normal cases, not necessary anymore. Okay. So validate is legacy, but it didn't work unless I added validate. I already hate this issue. Why did I sign up for this? So wait, if I remove ESLint.validates, and then I'm just going to reload everything, including the ESLint server. Doesn't pick up, but if I add validate back in, it does pick up these 2 JSON files again. All right, so this is weird. I'm gonna go to the issues, eslint.probe JSON, start trying to search. Feature request CoffeeScript by base. Default, okay. Lada doesn't work. Poor DVMR. People file so much crap on this repo. Anything like highly visible, like VS Code, ESLint, anything under the Microsoft org, people just spam with like really low quality issues. All right, validate CoffeeScript by default. I don't particularly care about CoffeeScript. So they're asking about difference. Oh my God, this is my exact issue. Haha. Yeah, I imagine y'all get some bad stuff on next too. All right, so the difference is as follows. Probe tries to find a plugin, but if it fails, it doesn't validate the file. Validate forces the validation, even if a corresponding plugin can't be detected. Since we don't have auto-detection probing for JSON-C yet, you need to use validates. So why would I use probe at all if validate can work? Regardless of probing support, probing ensures that the right plugins are installed. With validate, you force the validation of the file. We don't have auto-detection probing for JSON-C yet. Okay. All right. So this is pretty directly what I'm looking for. JSON. But what I want now is ESLint probe JSON supports. Yeah, honestly, Alex, you might be interested in this. Before I file an issue on VS Code ESLint, set up a repro for that and everything. In my 2024 goals, I don't assume anyone read them. It's a long blog post, mostly for me. I plan on writing like a standalone GitHub linter. I have like a few like compliance action kind of things. Yay, thanks, Dalshit. I want to like make a like kind of like ESLint, but for like issues, comments, discussions, PRs. And one of the things I'm planning on adding to it is like detection for doesn't have a repo. I've seen a lot of projects do their own kind of thing, but I want to make it easier to build that. So hopefully look forward to that. Let me know if you have any particular needs that you'd want to get implemented in it. Should be fun. Might be able to... I'm going to try to get GitHub to sponsor me. I don't think I'll succeed. So I'm just going to crap about it on the README if I don't. All right. So support for feature request. Support ESLint... What was the setting called? ESLint.probe JSON-C. JSON-C, and JSON5. Oh, did you make any progress? Belly? So, continuing, forking from this thing. Plugin importer, wait a second. That's such a developer move. Starts working on a thing, ends up building the utility library to do the thing it needs nicely. That's cool. Unless you meant that's the repo you wanted to use it on. I'd very much like to... Oh yeah, I've opened so many issues on Microsoft repos at this point. people like, this guy's more active with us than before he quit. I actually, when I left Microsoft, my last day was November something, I think, in 2018. And then I stayed in the area for like another month and a half before moving to New York. This was when I lived in Seattle, Redmond office. And I kept showing up at work events because my friends on the team would invite me. It brought me so much joy to see my old managers. Like, what? At one point, my skip, so my manager's manager, actually said to me, "Didn't you quit?" Cracks me up. Old Derek. This in as it's a bit confusing. Would VS Code ESLint accepts a PR? Do you have any advice? All right, so very nice. Filed this one. So I'm actually glad I don't need to make my own repro since it's already recognized by the maintainers. So, found a root issue. It's not yet supported in VS Code. Oh shoot! I never posted. I was looking at this. Oops. Another issue from Dan on this time for ESLint squiggle not being run on JSON files in VS Code's extension. Sorry for spamming you, Pele. Cool. Why don't you turn on this graph thingy in your GitHub in the contribution blocks? Oh, I don't know. I feel like my README is big enough as it is. I don't think people particularly need to see that. You like, okay. What does that look like for me? Or what would it? You're not talking about this. You're talking about the 4 squares thing, right? Or the 4 whatever thingies. Duration settings. Activity overview. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I don't know. I wanted to take up less space. I don't personally get a lot of value from it. Yeah. Good question. Boop, boop, boop. So, turns out the root issue is a feature I'd like to send to VS Code ESLint. Looks like using ESLint.probe for JSON C files isn't yet supported in VS Code ESLint. Marking as blocked pending discussion there. Worst case scenario, we can go back to ESLint.validate, but given that that's described as old and legacy, so I'd rather not for a bit. I thought the default was on. Blocked. All right. One last thing to do. Thanks everyone for hanging on for so long. If anyone, I'll just regularly, as I do, say if anyone has things they want to chat about, feel free. Always happy to. The last thing I wanted to work on today is explicit sizing for README logo if provided. Let's talk about that. Last issue for the day, I hope. For the stream today, I hope. Fixing up how logo images are displayed in README. Let's remove the pings. All right. So right now, the generator also supports filling out much of your README and including a nice little logo image there. So if you create or migrate a repo and specify a logo and an alt text, it'll put it in your README. The problem is, if you look at the README, get reset hard head README to MD. The logo image, there it is, doesn't actually specify a size. So if you load in the page on a not great network connection, let's do that. Network fast 3G. See if that works. Come on, GitHub. Look at all these JPEGs loading in Gs. I feel like those should be lazy loaded. Like there's, it seems a little silly to have them so aggressively loaded on the page. All these images, are these not loading equals lazied? Huh. Yeah, the all contributors grid isn't lazy loaded images. They're all marked as default, so they load. Anyway, I guess I'll file a new issue for that. Bug. All contributors table images should have loading equals lazy. This might involve, too slow. It might involve fixing on the. This might involve fixing on the contributors side, but I tried loading this repo on GitHub. Oh my god, the hiccups. Excuse me. In a throttled network connection, and noticed a lot of images loading right away. Yuck. They even seemed to be blocking first page render. Images in the all contributors table should have loading lazy HTML. Let's get a nice link there. Lazy CSS fonts. Let's get a link. Have loading equals lazy, so that they don't slow down initial page load or render. Yuck. All right. Too slow. And noticed a perf issue with the all contributors table. Filed this. I actually don't know. I should note this in the issue. I will. I don't know if it's possible to add loading equals lazy on a GitHub issue. Sorry, on a GitHub Markdown page. So actually, let's try this out. Well, I'll just mention. Yeah, I don't have time to try this out, but later I'll look into it. Also, don't know if this is possible in GFM, GitHub, Markdown renderer, collab flavored Markdown, but it really should be. If it isn't, I should find a place to request it. Upvote and existing request. Yeah, performance. All right, so the image right here doesn't have explicit sizing, so if you load it in, if it's slow to load in, then the page like shifts awkwardly. So what we should do is have an explicit size, like I don't know, like width equals 150px, height equals 150px, something like that. Just to be explicit, so that if the image fails to load or is taking a long time to load, it still gets a nice sizing for the layout. The problem is also, it might not be the max size that I generally have for my images, 128 by 128. It should, It should read the image to figure out what sizes. Oh, this is actually kind of work. I'm not going to work on this now. I don't have the time. I'm hungry. It's almost 12:30 my time for lunch. But what I would have to do is have something read in the image from disk. This is actually more complex than I remembered. And then figure out if the size can't be read. If it's an invalid image, throw an error. If it's bigger than 128, then longer warning. So anyway, let's find someone to raid. I see there are a few people here. I normally go for the person with the lowest, but I haven't rated Find Eye in a while, so I'm going to do that. Mix things up a little. Anyway, this was fun. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. I'm Josh, full-time open source maintainer. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me. Twitter, Mastodon, GitHub, email, whatever works for you. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.